You're listening to the Dirty Air Podcast.
Hey, let me hear some Scanner, brother.
It's in the face, Dilmer. In the face.
I don't really, to be honest with you, I don't know how to party.
And now, here are your hosts, Chuck Busch, Jonathan Merriman, and Matthew Dillner.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another exciting edition of the Dirty Air Podcast. We are here live from the NASCAR.com studios, here by the NASCAR Hall of Fame in fabulous Charlotte, North Carolina, doing that one again because I liked it the last week. Chuck Busch joined by Jonathan Merriman and Matthew Dillner in the plaid hat. I got on a plaid shirt, and he's wearing a wolf shirt. So
Wolf shirt Wednesday.
Boom. That guy, man.
America.
That guy. So, yeah, we're back. They let us come back for another week of the Dirty Air Podcast.
I can't believe we still are allowed to do this.
I can't either.
It's awesome.
But who knows? We're going week by week. We'll see what happens next week.
You never know.
Speaking of big weeks, Watkins Glen, big crowd, looked pretty big on the TV lookity box there.
It was awesome. What?
On the TV lookity box, you know,
lookity box.
Yeah. So you can watch things on the TV lookity box.
Man, that TV right there.
Yeah, you see all your big old stars on NASCAR.
I feel like you're making fun of my people.
They're my people
These
too.
are my people.
City boy.
Hey man, I got folks from Coward, South Carolina. I got folks from Liberty, South Carolina. All right? You want to talk about small towns? Rustburg, I know, is small.
Where'd you grow up?
I grew up in Charlotte.
Pretty big place.
Yeah, it is. But I got kin what's from other places that ain't from here. You ever heard of Catala, Georgia?
Moving on.
Yeah. I can rattle off small towns.
It was an awesome weekend, though.
It was.
I mean, Watkins Glen, it was beautiful weather.
Good shift there.
I tried to.
Yeah.
I could get it off topic if you want.
No, let's stick on topic right now.
Didn't use
I
those
had a fun weekend up there because personally I had the 8th annual MRO, Trevor Bayne MRO night.
Did Trevor Bayne win?
Trevor Bayne did not. David Reagan took the checkers. Huge crowd there, but there was even a bigger crowd at Watkins Glen. You want to talk about impressive? Wow.
There's Northeast fans,
place
man.
Was packed. They actually had to open up 2 or 3 new camping areas because there were so many people. It was unbelievable.
That's I've heard stories about how cool that place is. You've
never been to Watkins Glen?
That is the last track on the NASCAR circuit that I have not been to.
What is wrong with
That's
you?
the last track. So I don't know if our bosses are listening, but next year I'd like to go to Watkins Glen.
I hope they don't now.
They're probably not listening, but I really want to go.
Yeah.
That's why this thing hadn't been derailed yet.
It's a great
not
racetrack. The place has so much history. It's one of the most beautiful areas that we go to. It's like God's country up there. The green rolling hills and dairy farms and just a historic racetrack. And man, it put on a good show.
They did. It was a great show. I mean, Joseph Logano.
Joseph.
Getting his first road course win. And I mean, what you got there? Matt Dillner has a prop. He's like Carrot Top of podcasts right now. So
And they're not going to show it.
They're not even going to show it.
If
you're watching on NASCAR.com or on YouTube, you can see that Matthew Dillner brought a broom.
He rode it here.
He rode his broom.
Logano swept.
But that was his first road course win. Saturday was his first road course win in a national touring series.
Yeah, and you want to talk about like impressive as far as, becoming a road course guy, Joseph Logano. I mean, what a great job he did, and especially with having Todd Gordon on the box. That was amazing. Made for big work for Todd Gordon. He had to call 2 races. He had to manage 2 race teams that weekend. But Joey Logano stepped up big, and so did that entire Penske organization on Saturday and Sunday.
Well, let's not sell Joey short, but Penske puts together great road course cars just about every time that we head to the track here as of late.
Is that something that it's like Todd Gordon, they were talking about it in the media center afterwards. It's like he managed it. He managed that team well, and he called the race day well. But you also got to fall back on that team to get everything set up because his attention is split.
And you've seen Brad Keselowski almost win the Cup race at Watkins Glen. Penske is strong, and they're proving their strength right now and their gusto here in the closing parts of the season.
And they had a few issues on Saturday it looked like the pit crew was also doing double duty.
Did you like this?
I would not like your broom right now. No. Okay. But the pit crew was doing double duty. They had a couple of incidents during the Xfinity race, but then on Sunday, they got those worked out. And again, we saw another fuel mileage race. This time, Logano flipping the script and getting the win, whereas in Pocono, he runs out of gas. This time, he's relying on Kevin Harvick to run out of gas.
Our fuel mileage races this year have been great. There you see Logano chasing down Kevin Harvick if you're watching on NASCAR.com.
Or YouTube.
Yeah. If you're listening on iTunes.
Imagine it in
go to
your
YouTube.
mind.
There you go.
Man, how close was that, man?
It was insane.
The last turn.
This is the last. I mean, he starts running out in 5, right?
Kevin
5?
Harvick runs out. No, excuse me. Don't get me into that. That's turn 11 for you traditionalists. But dude, he ran out on the last corner. And did you guys see the Twitter, by the way, of Rodney Childers? Somebody actually left a fuel can on his thing, on his step, which was pretty funny. But dude, what about that burnout?
Oh yeah, I mean he literally burned it down.
He burned.
They had to put.
They
had to put the car out. Like they had fire extinguishers.
Okay, I gotta just say, Logano's always loved to do burnouts. I remember when he was in the E Series after a win at Greenville Pickens, him coming up to me in the press box and being like, "Hey, how'd that burnout do?
Was that a good one?
Man? Was that good?
I did good.
He loves burning it down, and
that was one of the best burnouts I've seen all year long
in the history of NASCAR. I mean, we've seen guys light him up on fire.
He literally lit them on fire.
The race car was up in flames.
It
was Kenseth a couple years ago who had his tire tracks were actually burning?
and Harvick's done that as well. Jack Sprague.
You know who else did that? Marty McFly.
Yes, he did. Very good.
I could not help but throw a Back to the Future
reference. Maybe the Cubs will win the World Series this year.
You never know. They invented a hoverboard.
Yeah,
Lexus has a hoverboard.
I mean, I saw something in the airport that was close to it. It was a Skywalker, I think it was called, where you...
That's Star Wars.
Yeah. You know what I mean. Closest thing I've seen to a hoverboard rolling around the airport.
Whoa, easy there, Slugger. Easy there.
I'm going to have to breathalyze you.
I mean...
Do you know where you are right now? How many fingers am I holding up?
It's only Minute Maid.
How many fingers am I holding up?
4.
4. Good.
4,
all right.
Yeah.
We can keep going. But Joey Logano, no longer the bridesmaid this season.
No.
Getting his first win since the Daytona 500.
Yeah,
Does that make him the groom?
You can't call him a bridesmaid. A bridesmaid if he won the biggest race in stock car racing.
Well, for the rest of the season.
Is he the groom? Does that
they
make
were
him the groom?
self-proclaimed bridesmaids.
He's a groom if he wins a title.
Yeah, he's married too.
He is.
He's a groom.
Yeah. A groom or a broom? Sweeping the weekend. No. That was, yeah. Joey Logano, though, I mean, for Todd Gordon and Joey Logano, that's just, they've been consistent all season.
They've been one of the best teams all year long, and they've been there every week. It's surprising that they only had, going into this weekend, that one win at Daytona. But, hey, that one win at Daytona is worth just about anything, isn't it, Chuck?
Yeah, I mean, and sadly, we lost someone in the racing community this week, Buddy Baker, who had a fabulous quote about winning the Daytona 500. And I'm paraphrasing when I say this, but I believe it was something to the effect of, it'll make even a grown man cry when you win that race.
And Buddy Baker is the gentle giant, somebody who was known for his speed on the racetrack, but most of all known for his personality and what a great person he was. When I first started working the sport, I got to work with TNN with Race Day, and then with the ASA team. My brother was the commentator, and Buddy was the color guy. You'll get no greater person to hang out with and hear colorful stories than Buddy Baker. I mean, you want to talk about one of the best storytellers in all of NASCAR, and just a great person. And I remember one time him telling me a story real quick, if you don't mind, of a fight at Bowman Gray Stadium. And he said it was the darndest thing he'd ever seen, because the guy that was fighting, Lee Petty, like Lee Petty went to kick his butt, was so little that Lee just couldn't do it. He couldn't beat him up. So he bent him over his knee in front of 17,000 people at Bowman Gray. He bent this driver over his knee and spanked him. That's Buddy Baker, the greatest storyteller in the history of our sport and one of the greatest guys I've ever worked around, and so colorful and so lovable. God bless the Baker family and everybody in this sport. Prayers to everybody, and Buddy's, we're going to miss him dearly.
Buddy Baker, 19 wins, 202 top fives, and the 1980 Daytona 500 champion.
What a win.
See the first guy
Buddy
to go
Baker.
200 in the stock?
Yes, he was.
Yep. Just Charlotte native, the Baker family, Buck Baker. I mean, just good old North Carolina racing family,
and good old fashioned old school charm and politeness, and that was Buddy Baker.
Winning in that gray Ghost.
Oh yeah, you could
Number
walk
28.
up to Buddy Baker. It didn't matter if you're a race fan or and that was something on Sirius XM. That's why he resonated with the fans, because he was the common man.
Yeah. So Buddy Baker. He will be missed. I mean, it's just. But you mentioned something there about his way to tell a story and the fight. And it's always difficult to kind of transition out of when you're talking about losing someone. How to transition out of that.
But
so I figure the
he
best
always
way
wanted to us to not shed a tear. He said
to have a good
smile
time
when you think of his name, and he loved to talk about those old stories.
Well, and they made some new old stories this weekend at Watkins
They
Glen.
sure did.
In the Xfinity series, you saw Austin Dillon and Ty Dillon, and Regan
Dylan.
Smith. Everybody gets one.
Oh, and here comes the wreck if you watch it at NASCAR.com.
That restart, though. You see Ty trying.
That's a dive bomb Dylan move. Right?
He dive bombed Regan Smith.
He
and
committed
then kind of
so early.
Yeah, and
now, so late. Excuse
me.
me.
He did apologize.
Yeah.
After the race, he apologized for what he did. He said he was wrong.
He was embarrassed.
He was embarrassed. But Regan had a tough day. He had an issue with Brendan Gaughan earlier in the race, and then this happened. He was a little heated. So after the race, you see him get out, and he goes over and he talks to Brendan Gaughan. It was a little bit of a heated discussion, but he walks away from that car, and you see him kind of just charging down pit road. And then
he had some crazy eyes going on when he grabbed.
He goes up and he grabs Ty, and he just starts laying into him.
It was awesome.
Well, you were there.
Yeah, I mean,
you were literally.
The bottom line is this: Regan Smith said, "Okay, he can apologize all he wants. He can own it all he wants, and we all respect the fact that Ty Dillon owned it." Okay. But the bottom line is Regan's right. Regan said it's okay. It's easy for him to do that because he wasn't the guy back in 30th position that lost his chance at the championship. This is a driver right here. If you're seeing it right now, the passion in his eyes, the anger, there's a reason. He's racing this year for a contract. He's racing for a championship. That right there is passion. That right there, he was angry.
He did say in his post-race interview that was his. He probably lost the championship that day.
And
then he also made
trying to have a ride next year.
He made a threat after that. He said, "I promise you, Ty Dillon will not win the championship." Now, I'm paraphrasing again, but
it's back-to-back weeks we've heard stuff like that.
He heard it from Crafton at Pocono.
Right.
Hey, these guys aren't just floating around there collecting paychecks. Okay, this matters. This is the way they put their food on their table for their family, and it means something.
Well, I do have a bone to pick with you.
You take my lunch money, Chuck?
Yeah,
especially me. I like lunch.
Oh, by the way, I do have.
You're in trouble.
I have a gift for you because he actually read an email.
I read the email too.
I read the
but you didn't quote the line. You didn't say.
Yes, I did. I copied your email.
You copied
sent it back,
it, but you didn't say.
It.
Yeah, you did.
Anyway,
I'm going to give Dillner this. Hang on, let me see if I can. That is the sound of a bright, shiny new $1 bill with George Washington.
It's not new, but I like George Washington.
I'm going to give. You guys can split that actually.
No, I'm
go 50-50.
You want 50 cents?
Nope.
That's illegal.
Anyway, but I do have a bone to pick with you.
Oh, boy.
I have a bone to pick with you. What was up with your shot, man? You're on the other side of the car, and then you missed part of the fight. You missed part of it. Did
you see the rage and the aggression in the eyes?
I saw that. But then, like the shoving part, you're like getting an elbow in the way, and what we talked about this at the beginning of the year.
That's brilliant, buddy.
If you're watching on NASCAR.com or YouTube, you can see this.
I got back.
Right here, MRN gets in the way, and you had to move. You had to readjust.
Had to do it, and I got there in time. And then what I did is I just sucked right behind Ty Dillon there, and it was a pretty entertaining fight. It was some shoving. There wasn't really fisticuffs, but absolutely awesome stuff there.
That's just a heated argument.
Yeah.
We love it.
That happens
It was
family reunions
shoving buddies
every Sunday.
That sells tickets.
And it shows the passion. Like we're getting towards the end of the season when the points races are starting to heat up.
Well, I'll say this. If the officials weren't there, or if they got there about 3 seconds later, I feel like Ty was getting ready to cock back and throw a punch.
I will say this. Eddie Shore, old-time hockey. Regan Smith, if you're listening to this, you'll agree. Old-time hockey, if you watch hockey, the refs might have just let him go a little bit there. But I understand we got to keep control on pit road.
I think they let him go.
I kind of wanted to see that a little bit.
I feel like they let him go a little bit.
Just a little bit. I'm just saying.
I mean, if you look at Ty, when he's doing his post-race interview, he's trying to zip up his zip. Well, he realized that the zipper's still zipped up, and he just had to Velcro it over. So they might have let him have a little bit of the boys have that.
Yeah.
There.
What about the hat grab? You like the hat grab?
I mean, it was just...
He wanted his hat. He had a nice hat.
But he makes that threat. He does make this threat. And we're going into 2 more road courses and Bristol in the next 3 weeks in the NASCAR Xfinity Series. Is there any opportunity to see some retribution here?
Yeah, and you could see fights with other people too, because, I mean, on restarts, that's where you're going to get close to people, and in Bristol, you can wreck somebody and take out somebody else, and if somebody else gets caught up in your bad blood, well, then you got more bad blood.
Do Hamlin and
Taylor
Dillon.
Swift.
Yeah, we've got Hamlin and Austin Dillon. We've got Ty Dillon and Regan Smith.
You've got teammates over at
Teammates over at Roush. We have
Roush.
Matt Crafton and BKR.
Yeah.
It's an old-fashioned battle royal.
I love it, man. NASCAR
But
gloves are off.
Well, and to me, this is what this season is. Is not that it's fights, but it's that we're building up towards the end.
And it's not,
towards the beginning of the year,
nothing's manufactured either.
No.
This is just pure raw emotion.
You could have a heck of a tag team match with the Dillon brothers against whoever.
Can they wear luchador masks? Anyway, go ahead, Chuck.
Oh, I was going to say
interrupted
a
you.
lot of my friends who are NASCAR fans have mentioned that, like, oh man, the beginning of this year it's just not been the same. It's like, no, they got a handle on the rules package, but now there's something that the rules package can't do anything about. It's making the chase. It's getting the points to win the title. You're seeing these battles heat up, and it's heating up tempers on the track. I've been saying since the beginning of the year that the fall, heading into late summer into the fall, that's when the excitement's going to happen. And we're seeing it.
I mean, the bottom line is people like this. People like this stuff. People get fueled by this. We sell tickets because of not fights, but the passion. I mean, I saw it last night at the Shrine 100 at Carolina Speedway. There was an all-out brawl between two drivers and on pit road after the race, and the fans just went crazy.
Well, and if you look at other sports,
You see it?
you see it. Now, when do you see it more? Like, you can control your temper in competition.
Yeah.
But when do you see more of these flare-ups and altercations happen?
Every time I drive home, I get mad. So
That's not really a sport. Driving. Well,
I
I mean,
treat it like
you're
this.
driving.
Have you driven with him?
Yeah, I have.
It's a sport.
I have. They are those two sitting across from me are probably some of the scariest drivers that I've ever ridden with.
oh, come on. Have you ever ridden with me?
Yes.
Have you ever
yeah.
driven with Matt Strickard or
I
Beatty?
said two of.
Justin Beatty once
Two
went
of.
up
I didn't
the
say
wrong way
I
of
didn't
a
say
parking lot
D2. I
twice.
said two of.
Okay.
Can we tell a Beatty story real quick?
No.
I was sitting in the grocery store parking lot with Justin Beatty.
In Sonoma.
And all of a sudden, we just hear
California.
something rev, and then I feel my butt vibrate and realize that it's the car that I'm sitting in that Justin Beatty's in the parking lot with his foot on the gas pedal.
Who's revving their engine right now?
Like,
Oh, my
Justin
foot's
Beatty,
on
by the way,
gas
is our
pedal.
producer who's listening right now and wants to kill us.
yeah, somebody want to race? No, the Beatty, that's you.
But I assume you have played sports growing up?
Yeah.
T-ball.
T-ball.
I didn't
Okay.
do
So not a
much.
lot of
Not a lot of
temper
sport-
in T-ball.
Yeah, I mean,
No,
he
I
doesn't
mean-
really look like an athlete.
I would tell you what you look like, but I would probably be fired.
Eddie Haskell, Ralphie from
Ralphie.
I mean, I've got a
No.
squirrel costume, not a bunny costume.
I grew up on four-wheelers and dirt bikes, and me and my brother were always racing around the backyard there.
So there's competition there.
there's
Did you guys? I
competition.
mean, I assume you guys got in fights. Yeah,
Yeah, all the time.
it happens. What about
Run into
you?
each other on
Yeah, I
purpose,
mean,
too.
well, they called us the Fighting Dillners for a reason back when we played softball. You growing up in Long Island, okay, you at the racetrack in Long Island, it's a little rough. It's a little rough, okay? And there was a lot of fights. Let's just put it that way.
Did they fight in the blunderbuss division?
Yes, they did quite often.
No, I like that.
Blunderbuss divisions.
That's a great division.
So you know, and growing
Did you
up,
ever get in a fight with Bubba Zwickel?
No, but I
in the
got-
blunderbuss division.
And his pink car?
I got into a little skirmishes every once in a while. I'm not too proud of it, but I got put in the wall one night and at Charlotte Motor Speedway, and let's just say it was a pretty spectacular run to the pit area to go. Yeah, it was.
I've had somebody want to beat me up at the racetrack.
Let's not talk
once.
about it.
Yeah. I told the
Talking
story
about me the
once
other week?
before. No, I told the story once before. A 14-year-old was driving a U-car at Franklin County Speedway, right? So I cut up
yeah.
under him under the corner, and he cuts down on me. Well, he's mad because he hit my car, and he tried to turn me off the corner, and he ended up overdriving the corner, popping the wall, and the drive pulleys flew off his car, and his dad wanted to beat me up. He was a tow truck driver. He's a pretty big guy.
My dad was suspended from NASCAR. Got the letter from Daytona Beach, Florida. My
You,
dad,
sir,
my
cannot
uncle,
race.
That they will not be allowed in a NASCAR facility for I believe it was 5 weeks from Islip Speedway. So a little bit of temper, I guess, runs in the Dillner family. I'm calm now.
That's
though.
shocking.
Yeah.
And you have a temper. Now, I got to ask you this though: if you had to pick your top altercation in sports history,
Oh, geez.
what would it be?
Merriman, go.
Go, Jonathan.
You go.
What do you mean you go?
Look, they're
That's
fighting right
that's a
now.
terrible car.
They're fighting right now, and there's a fight. You could, I mean,
And there's a
that's
fight.
that's a layup right there. You
What's
could go
yours-
with that.
What's yours, Chuck?
Mine, if I'm not saying the '79 Daytona 500, which
Which is amazing.
it's amazing, and it's a layup. I feel like that's chalk. That's a layup. I'm gonna go 2004 Malice in the Palace.
That was a great one.
Pistons versus the Pacers. Pistons
Artest.
Pacers. Ron Artest. I mean, that just sticks out in my memory as like that is a defining moment in the NBA.
I think one of the funniest ones for me is when Casey Mears was pushing on Ambrose at Richmond last year, and Ambrose just the thunder from down under.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he connected.
And
I
Casey
saw that
admitted
on
it.
Yeah.
saw that on TV, and I literally yelled out, "Oh!" and then I rewound it and watched it again.
I honestly am drawing a blank on who I was sitting in the office with. I think it was Matt Strickert. We were cutting highlights for that race.
When that happened.
And we just had this collective, ooh. I had to move away from the microphone on that because
Yeah, theirs was a big O.
Yeah, I was like, ow.
It was awesome.
I can't narrow it down, man. Michael Simcoe doing a drop kick in somebody's car at Toledo Speedway was cool. Sports-wise, Islanders versus Penguins, the 65 penalty minute, 346
Oh,
penalty
you were
minute
there for the
game.
Gordon Keselowski stuff.
Gordon Keselowski was good. I was there for that, but my favorite is actually from the modified days of John Blewett III. God rest his soul. We miss him. Going after Nevin George, another NASCAR modified driver, and while he was beating him up, a crew guy took one of those big old massive modified tires and was using it as a weapon, smashing in the guy's air cleaner. Boom, like this. It was one of the most entertaining fights I've ever seen.
But to me, fights just show everybody's, people shouldn't fight. Well, it's the passion.
Yeah, I don't mind
It's
seeing
the-
it when it's
warranted.
meaningful.
Well, I mean, can you have a meaningful fight?
You can have a meaningful fight. If you tick me, like I said about the lunch money with Regan Smith, okay, I'm telling you, contract, championship, all these big things, food on the table for his family.
So what Dylan
and
was
you
saying-
take that away, I'm going to be mad.
So if we take away your food, you're going to be mad.
You take away my food right now, I'm coming across that table at you, Chuck Busch.
I don't doubt that. We're going to have some food together this weekend in Michigan.
are.
Yeah, we're going to Michigan.
Y'all are.
Y'all are, yeah.
Y'all.
May and Dillner and some other folks. But it's the third of 4 rule change packages coming up at Michigan. So earlier this week on NASCAR.com, NASCAR Executive Vice President Steve O'Donnell had a couple of things to say about the new rules package. So let's take a listen to what Steve-O had to say.
I think it's important to kind of take a step back, and the original package for us was for Michigan. So we had built this package specifically for Michigan and then worked to implement it in Indianapolis. So we feel comfortable with the package we have set up for Michigan, but we've certainly learned some things in Indy. Obviously, if we can cool the car in a more efficient manner, we're going to do that. We've talked to the teams about what gear ratio should be implemented, and we'll have some adjustments potentially for Michigan. And then that dialogue will continue Friday. We'll get through that first practice and qualifying. We'll sit down with a number of people in the industry, get their feedback heading into Sunday. Obviously, look to put on a great race and then take the results and look at what happened the first time we went to Michigan, what happened for the second time, compare the two, see what we thought, but more importantly, see what the fans thought and make adjustments from there, and then look to Darlington to go with the low downforce package.
So there you heard it. They're talking about this new rules package, and it's the one they originally developed it, what they used at Indy for Michigan. What are we going to see this weekend? Jonathan Merriman.
Hopefully nobody passes out, and hopefully there's a lot of passing with the draft.
Play on words right there. I
Yeah.
like it. We're going to see a little bit more drafting. I don't know if we're going to see multiple packs of drafting. I don't think so, but I think the cars are not going to be able to get away from each other. That's my take on it with this rules package and my experience watching racing at Michigan.
But
so many grooves of racing, and with this package, it's going to kind of slow them down a little bit. And
But will they be able to pass? What I want to know is when you get on someone's left rear quarter,
Yes.
is the air going to come off your nose or is the air going to come off your spoiler? Because if it comes off your nose, you're not going to be able to pass. If it comes off their spoiler, they're going to wiggle. You're going to go by.
Well, you got a lot of spoiler. You got a lot of spoiler back there.
That's what I want to know.
It's going to be interesting. We'll see.
I'm looking forward to it, and I like the fact that after
That's
that
the
first
unknown.
practice, after that first practice on Friday. They're kind of using it a little bit, kind of like a test.
That's what's good.
Quasi
they did
test
that at
session.
Indy, and
Yeah.
it really worked. And the teams were very happy with that in Indy, where they got to work on the different gear ratios, and that made the teams very happy. And it was cool to see NASCAR working with them, not at a test session, but actually at the race weekend to determine what was the best thing for us to be running on Sundays.
Well, think about how efficient that is too. It's a practice and it's a test. You get data,
Yes.
and you get to set up your race car. Perfect, especially this year.
Yeah.
when the testing is extremely limited.
Yeah. Well, and Michigan, we're going to Michigan. And there's a guy. I'll have to do this. We are on Kyle Watch, day 80, 2015. Dun, 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 dun.
Kyle Watch.
Kyle Watch. Kyle Busch, Michigan.
There's some weird
Hasn't
dudes.
run that well there in the past
No.
4 races. I think his finishes, he's not finished any better than 31st.
Dunked it in the wall the last time we were there, and it was admittingly all on his own doing. So
He has worked his way into the top 30 in points,
he's there.
but he's only clear by 6 points.
He's fine, Chuck. He's fine. Anything can happen, and that's what the great thing is about sports. That's why we play the game. That's why we race all the laps. But Kyle Busch is the hottest driver in racing. It doesn't matter that he hasn't won now in 2 weeks. Ooh, the sky is falling. It's Kyle Busch. He's in.
My question to you, Jonathan, as a competitor, do you want to be in the position that Kyle's in now, where you're in by 6 points, or do you want to be in the position where he was 3-4 weeks ago, where you're not quite there? As a competitor, what is going to drive you more?
I think the chip on your shoulder drives you more, but for this weekend, people are saying that, oh, Kyle's not going to run very good at Michigan because he hasn't the past 4 times we win their average finish of 31st. That's going to be a big enough chip for him to go out and prove people wrong. You obviously want to be in. You know, you'd rather be on the inside looking out than the outside looking in because, I mean, if you're in the chase, you can run for a championship, and that's the whole point of this thing. So I'd rather be where he is now.
I will say this. I would rather be where he is right now. And Kyle Busch, remember, going into this year, this new rules package, reduced horsepower. What did I said it at the beginning of the year. This is going to be a rules package that suits Kyle Busch. You look at his success in the trucks, his success in the NASCAR Xfinity Series, and we're seeing it now. And I think with this change in this rules package, I'm looking for Kyle Busch to be one of the guys on top at Michigan.
That's a line that Chris Rice has been saying for a long time.
Even
that
if he
this
wrecks
rules
out
package suits him.
Even if he wrecks out at Michigan, he's going to win Darlington.
What about Bristol?
He can win Bristol too. He's great
He
there.
swept there before.
Yeah.
Cue the broom.
Cue the broom. I mean, we're getting close though. We are getting so close to Richmond. You can taste it.
I like Richmond. It tastes very, very nice.
There's some good food in Richmond.
It
Good
is.
pizza.
It
I used to
is.
go to Redskins camp up there when I worked.
You like the Redskins?
When you worked?
No,
you don't work anymore?
I worked for a TV station
That's
out
right.
of Roanoke, so we did Redskins camp.
That's cool.
Covered it.
So if you had to make a pick this weekend to win the race at Michigan, and then let's throw in a fantasy value pick, who are you taking for the win, and who are you taking as your value?
My value is going to be Ryan Blaney.
I don't disagrwant with that. That 21 machine, they're
I think he's going to be pretty good
solid there at Michigan.
at Michigan. And you want to do value picks first, and then come
Well,
back.
I mean,
to our
you
regular
just gave
picks?
me your value
Do you
pick,
wanna
so
pick
yeah.
a
No, I mean, you just said what your value pick was. How much? Like, what are you saving with that? He's costing $13.50.
He's $13.50. So I mean, that's he's not cheap by any means, but in terms of the caliber driver he is and the equipment that he's in, that's a steal.
Who are you taking for the win, though?
Let's see. Kurt won there last time due to rain. I'm going to take Kyle. I'm going to take him before you guys can.
Take Kyle Busch. All right, Matthew Dillner, who you got for your?
So does this mean that I can't take him?
No, you
I don't. You can
Because there's
nobody said that you
there's
can't
no
pick the same.
mistaking Kyle Busch is my favorite to win this weekend.
Okay, then I'll pick Kurt if you pick Kyle.
So no mistaking it, and I can't believe that I'm actually agreeing with you this much. But I think Jonathan Merriman hit it nail on the head.
With both of them?
There's no more value. There is no more value on NASCAR Fantasy Live this weekend than Ryan Blaney.
Wow, this
no
is a
better
very
value.
exciting show today. We're picking the same people.
Sometimes my brain works well.
sometimes.
I mean, you could look
and then
at,
other times it clearly
you
does
could look
not.
at Tony Stewart as well. I mean,
Yeah.
Tony Stewart, he was running really good at Watkins Glen.
He was my
You wanna
value
look
pick
at,
last week.
Yeah, and you want to look at how crazy the road course can be. We've said it before. The guy, lap 68 or whatever, drops out, and he finishes 43rd. I mean, he was running real well this weekend at Watkins Glen. So, you know, who
Tony
knows?
Stewart's still a value at 15.
I don't think this is a big package, good package for Tony Stewart in particular with, the rules package that we have. But Tony Stewart, for that amount of money, is bound to get you a really good finish.
All right.
You think it does anything for Biffle this weekend, the package?
See, I was thinking about that. I was
'Cause he
thinking
used to
about, but I
dominate
was thinking
Michigan.
about those Roush drivers. You're in Detroit. You're in Ford's backyard.
You got some big changes on that 16 team going on right now. And I think the 16 team right now is not in a great place.
But
and
that
no
could be-
disrespect to their organization, but the 16 team is definitely trying to find themselves right
Or a
now.
It could be
driver
a
like
value
Clint
pick, though.
Boyer. I mean, you look at people who have absolutely nothing to lose at this point in the year.
I mean, I'm going to throw it out there, and I'm going to say that Hendrick gets back in victory lane this weekend.
Who is it going to
And
be?
I think it's
Junior?
going to be Jimmy.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Not Casey Kane?
No.
He's had some bad luck, man.
I mean, unless they just kind of take Casey out and put him in Jimmy's car with everything there.
And now
Just
Jimmy
do a complete
Johnson
driver
has
swap.
won at
Yeah.
Michigan, so he's got that win now at Michigan.
He
Only
won
has,
last year there. I mean,
guess it's
yeah.
only 4 other tracks now that he hasn't won at. So, but yeah, that's a strong pick.
All right.
What's
That's
your value?
My value pick?
Come on,
Agree with me. Just tell me I'm right.
just agree with him.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with him.
How
Ryan
can you
Blaney.
not pick Ryan Blaney?
How can you not pick against the Wood Brothers is my question.
That Wood Brothers car is always strong at Michigan.
I'm looking forward to Michigan, man. I'm going to get some Frosty Joey, some ice cream.
Oh man, you
Gonna be
kidding me?
nice.
Never been.
You've never
Frosty
been?
Joey's and Dairy Bar. If you don't go to one of those, or a lot of the spotter guys, they go to Frosty Boy.
Yeah.
That's another good one. But that place is sprinkled with ice cream places all
I
across
see
the
what you
roadway.
did
Yeah,
there.
he did a play on words. It's going to be great.
Well, from the road, we did a little video piece on ice cream in
NASCAR.com.
Michigan. So make sure you check that out too. If you haven't, I'll tweet it this weekend.
Of course you will. I knew you would, Reggie.
Why
right?
not?
Because it was a good video.
Yeah.
I know we got in a little bit of a disagreement when you were doing your stand-ups on that. You remember that?
No.
Like you did your
And
hand
then Matt
thing.
Strickert made a cameo in the back.
He didn't even mean to, but like Dillner had this habit of like using his hands to talk. Like when you're
Had?
in Michigan.
I
Had
don't know what to do with my hands.
No, he's like holding an ice cream cone. When you're in Michigan, you have to come to Frosty Joey.
well, it's good when I have an ice cream cone in my hand because then both hands aren't flying and hitting microphones.
Is it time for some Eagle facts?
It might be time for some Eagle facts. I think we could go to Jonathan Merriman. Say, hey, y'all, you want to hear some freedom? He's shaking something. Whoa. And now.
You just blew my American
I blew
eardrums out.
everybody's eardrums out of the water, getting ready for Jonathan Merriman's Eagle Fact of the Week. I'm going to turn that down just a little
so
bit, and I apologize.
Every week I try to compare Eagles and race cars because it only makes sense here. Okay, so follow me.
I'm
race cars
trying to.
are made out of tubular steel.
They're not made of feathers.
They're not made of feathers. But the bones of the race car are hollow tubes. Well, to keep weight down, when they were designing Eagles, their bones are actually hollow. And an Eagle can weigh between 8 and 16 pounds, right? Their skeleton, on average, their skeletal structure on average weighs a little over a half a pound.
Do you think they run extra fuel in the hollow bones?
I don't know.
Junior Johnson Eagle would.
Junior Johnson
Saying.
Oh, man. That
relates pretty well.
it does.
You know.
It does. I'll give you that. When did you come up with that fact?
3 minutes
Probably
ago.
3 minutes,
3
before,
minutes
the
before
show.
the show. He was actually looking it up while we were on
I
the show.
actually knew that fact.
Did you?
I knew about the bones being hollow. Most birds have hollow bones.
What doesn't
Well, yeah, I
Jonathan
mean-
Merriman know about Eagles and freedom?
I'm not going to answer that.
Good decision.
Good decision.
You know why I'm not going to answer that? Because I'm going to tell everybody out there in podcast land to make sure that you tell your friends to subscribe to this on iTunes.
Hey, iTunes.
iTunes.
I haven't clipped that off yet, so I can put another thing on the soundboard at just a meeting.
iTunes?
Blunderbuss divisions.
iTunes.
Blunderbuss and iTunes.
Yeah. But anyway, tell your friends
YouTube.
on iTunes, subscribe to the Dirty Air podcast. Look at it on YouTube. comment on YouTube.
And we'll
NASCAR.com.
tweet it out if you can't.
Yeah,
in case you miss it, there was a guy that tuned in on Twitter and actually said this week, I missed it. Well, we gave him all you need on Twitter.
And the thing is,
the links.
The thing that we did last week is we had to put a little bit of code in that switched where the feed was reading from. So if you're listening, refresh your feed in iTunes. Just hit the little refresh button.
Shout out to that guy on Twitter.
Do you know his name?
Shout out. No.
We're picking up some.
My phone is flooded with crazy dirt track.
Make sure you follow at Matthew Dillner on Twitter, at J Merriman Sports on Twitter.
Twitter.
I went to Valley Girl there. All right. And follow at
Grody
the Chuck
to the
Busch.
Mac.
Follow at the Chuck Busch, at J Merriman Sports, and at Matthew Dillner. Look us up on NASCAR.com. Tell your friends. For everybody here, the Dirty Air Podcast, Matthew Stricker, Justin Beatty, Jonathan Merriman, Matthew Dillner, Broom McGillicuddy. I'm Chuck Busch, reminding you to hop out in that clean air, chase down the leader. We'll see you next week, back in the pack, here in the Dirty Air.
Dun, 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 dun.